For those of you driving around listening on 93.3, appreciate that as well. Perfect day. Drive around, listen to the JCS with the windows down, maybe out on the back deck. Maybe you got off of work and you're just loving life. You're getting ready to cook up some food and enjoy this weather and have a few cold ones and listen to some sports talk, perhaps. Hey, by the way, I could begin the show with a little mild. It's very mild, but it's faint. Can you even hear that, guys? There, that's better, but I'll go way off in the distance because that's really what it is. They're hanging on. That win last night, hideous as it was, is a win after all, and you'll take it. Good thing you don't like good shooting. Nah, you don't want to see it. Don't want to see the ball go through the hoop. Let's tune on in to a little Florida State BC. Let's watch these two bricklaying machines go to war. And you got what you want, which was a whole lot of bad shooting, lots of turnovers. Just sorry basketball. I got choked up talking about it. But Florida State wins the game. If it's going to be ugly, you might as well win. So it keeps their faint hopes alive here. Still alive. First show back in the studio for the JCS. Did Seminole headlines yesterday, but you guys, if you're listening, you didn't get to hear it because our station had some technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Back at it here. But back from Miami where I saw the Heat and the Clippers play. So cool to see Terrence Mann do what he does for that team. It was a lot of fun, and I brought my son down there to see that, and we saw Tom. I don't know if you watched any of that game, but I'll tell you something right now, right out the gates. One thing I want to point out: Terrence Mann can really jump, and he was the benefactor of a really nice pass that he skied above the rim to hammer down right in front of us. And so to see my son, who that's his favorite player is Terrence Mann, to see him go nuts when Mann had the thunderous alley-oop dunk and the Clippers winning, it was great. Good times. So there it is. On the show today, Link Jarrett going to join us, talk a little Florida State baseball in the second hour of the program. Big picture stuff. I wanted to talk to him directly about Mike Martin. Of course, Mike gave him a chance to play at Florida State. He took that opportunity and ran with it and became an All-American. And, he'll tell you there's no way he thought that was going to happen. Or anybody who saw him coming out of high school thought that was going to happen. But it did happen. And Link is forever grateful. And, of course, he talks about the man himself. I did that interview earlier this afternoon. You'll hear it in the second hour. Florida State has more pitching this year, and they've got a lot of players, a lot of new faces. Kind of an overview, just a little bit of an overview. We'll get a more specific interview with Link Jarrett right before the start of the season, which, can you believe it, is nearly upon us. Newcomers continue to filter in. We get these interviews for FSU football. You'll hear a couple of those today, too, just some snippets from guys. And Tom did set something up. Tom, I'll invite you in now. You set something up, buddy, that just warms my heart. Because you know how I feel and how I've been lobbying for this for years, and now it's happened, and that just bodes well. I'm talking about any of the guys like today. Anyhow, you'll hear a player from Tonga. That's a good thing. If you get a Samoan, a Tongan, you're going to be in good shape. Players, I don't know that I've ever seen a player play poorly that are from those islands. I've never seen him play poorly. Not on any team anywhere. It's a very positive stereotype, if we're being honest. It really is. So we'll explain that and play the clips and get excited, and that's a good thing. I'm excited about it. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy. I mean, it's especially because it's a defensive lineman. That's the thing, is you wanted a trench warrior from one of the islands, and Sione Lolohea's story is a fascinating one. And with the clips, like there's some fun stuff in there about his background and about how naturally tough he is given the game that he grew up playing. Hint, hint, it's not football, American football. But then also some heartwarming stuff about what it takes to leave the islands and the sacrifices you have to make in order to aspire towards your dreams. And, I don't think this is exactly breaking news, but he got farther away from home when he went from the Pacific Northwest down to Tallahassee, Florida. He didn't exactly get closer to home. Maybe the weather reminds him of home a little bit more than what was up in Corvallis. But that's even longer of a flight that he would have to make if he ever wanted to get back to the islands to go see his parents.
It's a really heartwarming story. He's an easy person to root for. I love vetting these kids, hearing their stories, having them open up and talk about who they are as they come to Florida State. We've had a lot of really positive stories in the last several years. Yet it occurs to me that is true, like definitively true. We have not had a lot of guys come in from other places, other locations, other programs, and had any real issues. Think about how hard that is to do. Sometimes those marriages don't work out. Sometimes guys, go from one program to another program and struggle to adapt to whatever that culture is or the differences are from program to program, let alone, society to society. Obviously it's interesting that they haven't. And that speaks to the very strong foundation, the bedrock of what they've built everything upon, right? That's what I think is what it reveals. I think it tells you that guys come in and they're shown the proper path because it's been laid down and people follow it, and now newcomers come in and just carry it on over, which is a very, very good thing. So there's that as well. And then also it's Super Bowl week, and because I was off Monday, here it is already Wednesday. We'll have at least early and late in the week. My mom will make her final pick. That's the cherry on top. And we'll have some bets for you beginning tomorrow as well, because there are a ton of them, and that's a lot of fun. I've already made – how many have you made so far? How many prop bets have you made for the Super Bowl so far?
In my brain, probably 4 or 5. In reality, none just yet. I don't know why. It's the juice that I want to feel. I've made a couple of NHL bets this week as they're getting back into the fold post All-Star game. A couple of easy plays there. One was a winner on Tuesday night, or Monday night, excuse me. If only we were on the air, you could have known to take the Rangers game under. That was a bunch of All-Stars coming off of the All-Star break, playing right away on a Monday night. Man, that's going to be a slop fest. And it was a 2-1 game at 6.5. Nice, easy under.
Look at you. You're getting locked in, Tom.
I am getting locked in. I've got perhaps a little beat on one tonight as well. It's tough coming the first week out of the All-Star game. But then for the Super Bowl, I'm looking at the simple line, which is, you're really going to keep Mahomes a dog here? You're going to keep the Chiefs a dog in this situation? Because
they are.
For my money, their defense is better, and I think their offense has gone to a bit of a different place in the last month. It's not as dynamic as it was when Mahomes was winning his first Super Bowl. I'm not going to say that because that would be false, but they're a much more complete team than they were 6 weeks ago. And San Francisco's defense scares the hell out of me if I'm trying to lay points or just take the favorite on the money line.
Yeah, I did. It's funny. The overwhelming amount of money that first came in when the line first came out was for Kansas City. Then that shifted as some San Francisco money came in. Then that came back to Kansas City, and then now San Francisco again. So, yeah, it is interesting. Is it still 2? We're still sitting at 2 as I got up today. I haven't even checked the line because I made my bet over a week ago, several bets. As to the side and the total and the number, I've already gotten my wagers in. I like all the other stuff right now. As usual, that continues to grow. All that prop stuff grows. Think back to when we were first doing radio together, Tom. We used to look at that sheet. You could print it out of the prop bets, right? But it gets added to every year. People think of new imaginative ways in which to create new bets at all the on all the places that you can bet. Well, frankly, back when we started, you could bet in like one of 2 places, Atlantic City and Vegas. Now you can bet in 38 states legally. So it's, you got people adding to the pie here. It's good stuff. And you got crazy bets like, you could take the national anthem, the coin flip, and add it to yards, and then combine it with total numbers for a basketball game at the same time and the under at a hockey game. It's nuts. It's nuts, and it's fun because if you're willing to, with a fine-tooth comb, go over those wagers, you'll find real value there.
In some ways, we're less American than we've ever been because we're monitored wherever we go. Now, some of us volunteer that because we have location services on our phones, but there's not as much freedom as you think in terms of your own ability to go wander. Just ask guys who want to be deadbeat dads and who want to go for a pack of cigarettes and leave their family behind. They can't do that anymore. They're not free to do that anymore. But in other ways,
what world have we created where a man can't tell his wife, I'm going to the gas station, knowing full well he's starting a new life with a hooker he met a year ago as they escape just 7 blocks away, never to be seen again? Can't do it.
I'm telling you, literally in this place that I live now, you could move 20 blocks and you'd never see each other again. Like I'll bet you that has happened in the history of this particular borough
I'm sure.
that I'm in. But in other ways, we're more American than we've ever been because the betting has gotten so much better. You're right. You could play an NBA matinee game, points plus assists versus receiving yards for George Kittle. If you really wanted to do something as crazy as that, you could do it. I like sticking with some of the simpler stuff if I'm making a big play. Like I'm looking for matchup deficiencies and saying that Travis Kelce is going to hit the over this week or Rashee Rice is going to hit the over in terms of their categories. But then the pizza money on, will the first touchdown be an even number of yards or an odd number of yards away? Like weird stuff like that is fun to do and just to keep it participation-wise.
You ever looked at the handle on the coin flip bet? It's like one of the biggest handles they have for any prop bet. It's over the how wrong is this? It's like that guy I met at the restaurant. They cannot help themselves, but they're like, well, it's 50-50. Well, okay. You're just betting on a coin flip.
But I call that pure gambling. This is the pure crack of gambling. I have seen $1,000 coin flip in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. It was riveting to watch. I didn't have any cash on it, but I saw it. $1,000 on the line.
Yeah. When that coin is in the air, Tom, and you're involved in a coin flip bet. Now, I've been in many a coin flip bet, but not for $1,000. I can't even remember what that stranger and I were betting at the time. We did it several times, and it got the stakes. Yeah, the stakes went higher. Yeah.
Was he a Chiefs fan, or was he just betting? Was the bet on the Chiefs?
The bet was on the Chiefs over/under win total, and it was random because it happened to be the night of a preseason game. It was a preseason game, I believe, against the Texans, and I remember just thinking it was odd when he said, "Who do you think wins tonight?" I'm like, "It's preseason. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it." And then he goes, "Well, who do you like?" I was like, "Well, this guy, he's got to have it." I'm like, okay, well, I'll take the Chiefs, man. I hadn't thought about it. Now, if you had said Ravens, I'd have been all in because we know Harbaugh cares deeply. But there I was, and then I kind of immediately liked the guy, and then from there he said he was like, "Oh well, what kind of season do you think the Chiefs are going to have?" I go, "Well, a good one, because they've got a very good quarterback." And he's like, "Well, what's the over/under on win total?" I'm like, "Okay, we're going to do this. Two strangers in the night here. All right." And I did it, and I won the bet, and he paid me. But that preceded the future bets at the bar as I waited on my food, which became for beers and then later coin flip bets. And just it was an odd night. And then I walked out in the pouring rain, drove home, and thought, "Am I being set up? This is really bizarre."
Yeah, well, no, coin flip bets are the heroine of bets. I mean, this is you get better odds with that than you do roulette. Slightly better, but truly it is better statistically. And you've been with me to one casino when we were in Biloxi on the way out to actually two, so that trip. But in Biloxi, I like to see if our trip is going to get off to a little bit of a booster. You go right to the roulette wheel and you see, all right, can I double it up right here, right now with a set aside predetermined amount of money?
Yeah.
If yes, oh, buddy, night one is on the house. If not, I was willing to lose that anyway. It's very much like a coin flip bet. So actually, I think because you brought this up, you've talked me into doing a coin flip bet, and I'll text you whether I won or not on Super Bowl night.
There we go. And then I will take you to where I went, which was, and this has nothing to do, I'm just taking the show this direction as we kind of introduce the subjects of the day. Well, we have entered into a new era. Not shocking to see this. It is known as the bundle era, of course, and it just got more intriguing. Did you see who partnered, Tom? Little ESPN, Fox, Warner joint venture to take sports streaming to the future, if you will. Did you see that?
Oh, I did very much. And the sport that we care about is at the center of it, but it's not the only one. And Warner Sports is actually Turner Sports. So you're talking about TNT, TBS, and that has huge implications when you're, thinking about, could be March Madness. It could be NBA playoffs. It could be Stanley Cup playoffs. And this is, that's a big deal. There are some news releases that ESPN PR or Fox PR put out, and you're like, oh, whatever. You're hoping somebody runs with this, but it's not really news. You're just talking about yourself. Like Chris Carlin's going to be the 1 p.m. host now of ESPN Radio. Yeah, ain't nobody clicking on that. But this is monumental news. This changes a lot of things.
And as it sets up, and we'll take a cursory glance here, Alex Weprin reported that the three companies will each own 1/3 of the new untitled streaming platform, which will have its own brand and independent management team. Also, it's a major step forward. Quote, it's not expected to impact ESPN's plans to offer a direct-to-consumer flagship ESPN streaming service, which is also in the coffers, but it is meant to complement it. is what Weprin said. Closer to something like a skinny bundle of streaming networks that's focused exclusively on live sports, Tom. So that's rather than entertainment. So this is where we're going. This is where we're going.
They released a giant list of the sports and the channels that would be involved in this bundle, and it's basically something that would replace. You just did the segment a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Is Hulu the best thing? Like, this is going to be the best thing. This is going to be the one that covers just about all your bases. The only things that are going to be left are how you get your RSNs for your local sports and the teams you care about, like the Pirates or, for me, the Mets. That's the thing that's going to be left out of the equation. But if you just want live national sports, national telecasts, and then also college sports, it would appear, this is the thing that's going to get you there.
It also, it's so bizarre to me to watch all of this play out. If you take a step back, you and I talked about this, you're just recreating cable again. You're just kind of you're just doing the same thing over again. Only I guess you're cutting out the middleman.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, you're not cutting a check to Time Warner back in the day, which was the big one, but it's called Spectrum now, and Verizon and all those things. You're going to be able to get this money directly from the consumer. You think about how we are returning to something that looks a lot like cable, but in a sense, the world had to completely change for us to get there, because ESPN's laid off what percentage of their employees in Bristol?
Yeah, and there'll be another wave here in the not too distant future.
It's just like Clear Channel was when we were at Clear Channel Radio. Now,
I watched it all happen, buddy.
Exactly. So they're stripping it down to bare bones, and I think what they're going to do here is strip it down even more. Don't you think that they would have a collective of, truck employees and production employees that they could use across all of the networks now, because they're getting together on the streaming platform? I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So, and the other part of it is that the nature of television has changed. Nobody gives a crap about what's on Monday night on CBS at 7:00. Like, that's
appointment television doesn't exist save for sports.
Right. Exactly. So cable companies in that sense are kind of useless. So we're coming back to it in a way, but this is the minimalist thing. When we signed up for cable back in the day, you'd have to get 84 channels that you don't give a crap about for the 15 you do. Now you could get the 15 that you care about at one price. And I'm sure it's going to be absurd. It's got to be around $40 to $50 a month, I would say, at minimum.
I'm reading 50 to 70.
Yeah.
One thing to note here, you're creating, and this was, now listen, I cobbled together a ton of articles on this and just went through each and every one this morning that I could find, whether it's Sports Business Journal, whether it's CNBC, whether it's Mullen and Draper, any of the stuff. I read lots of reports on this, and everybody's business folks and entertainment writers and sports folks are all weighing in on this. And it's fascinating to put it all together to see what their angle is, what they think is most interesting. But in essence, in doing that, you'll find that it's going to offer streaming subscribers all the channels owned by the companies that carry sports: ESPN, TNT, FS1, ABC, and Fox. In addition to sports content subscribers, they'll be able to watch non-sports shows that are available on those channels. They'll have access to 14 channels in total. ESPN's existing streaming service, ESPN Plus, for example, is on there as well. And the goal is to create a home base for all things sports, so that consumers who've cut the cord no longer have to cobble together the things that we've talked about, all these different bundles and packages, and try to find and mix and match all the ones.
Yeah, it's key there that it mentions that ESPN Plus would be a part of the bundle, because that gets you a lot of regional sports network programming. Like, for me, it
gets you like early golf on the like on a Thursday afternoon when I go home. If I leave here tomorrow when they start the Phoenix Open and all that goodness and Waste Management, the regular coverage on the network itself doesn't start until 4 or whatever it is, 5 or 6. But I can watch it much earlier in the day when the players have actually teed off because of the ESPN Plus coverage.
Yeah, featured groups, major tournaments, which, that's about to get a whole new facelift too in the golf world, exactly what that's going to look like. But they purchased ESPN Plus, did PGA Tour Live some 2 or 3 years ago in order for this to be a payout. And what's going to happen there too. We've seen it from the radio side, but it's the same playbook. It's just at scale. It's a much larger thing. You're going to have sales reps for all 3 of these selling it at the same time. You know what I mean? So what this does is it just amasses more and more numbers for the stream ad revenue to add up. It looks like they're going to split it evenly 33% across the board, at least on the subscription level. But I'm sure at the advertising level, ESPN's providing so much more of the inventory that I would imagine they would clear a lot more of that particular part of the revenue stream. But what they're doing, they're simplifying it for the person, but they're also getting out in front of the next wave. ESPN wants to do direct to consumer, but this is going to be the thing that everybody has. The question is, from that point, what do you add on? But this is going to be the nuclear thing that we're all going to own.
There's so many tentacles to this and ways to talk about the way we're going to consume sports in the future. We can continue it. It will take us down a different path each and every time. By the way, I'll answer that question. NLZFN, I will get to you and others who have asked me about picks for waste management, of course. Soon enough. It'll happen on today's show. I got, me anymore, Tom. I've got DraftKings bets where you have a lineup, and then I've got top 20, top 10, top 5, and pizza money on a winner. I've come twice I've come this close to cashing the winner, the overall winner this year. I had O'Bear when he finished second, which infuriates me because, it's hard to pick a winner of a golf tournament and to be right there. It's a little frustrating, but when it cashes, it really cashes. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Termite and Pest Control, we know if you have something in your home that's not supposed to be there, you want it gone now.
Not in a couple of days, not tomorrow, but today. That's why we offer a same-day guarantee.
If you call Paul's before 12, one of our technicians will be out before 5. We guarantee it.
The health of you, your family, and your pets is why we promise to do everything possible to quickly resolve your problem.
And we do so using the safest chemicals. Notice a pest problem?
Call Paul's Termite and Pest Control before 12, and we're there before 5.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been treating termites from the exterior of your home for about 25 years.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader of this non-invasive treatment.
Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations.
These stations are strategically placed around the home. If termites are present, they feed, take it back to the colony, which is shortly destroyed.
To learn more about Centricon,
and a free consultation, too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Oh my God, what happened to you? You're walking so crooked.
Well, I was walking my alligator and I tripped on a cypress knee and I spilled my margarita.
Oh my gosh, your margarita.
Got blown my back completely out. I had to ride the alligator home. I don't know what to do. My back's killing me.
You're such a poor man. You should know you should go to Finn Chiropractic.
Really?
You can go to their website and book an appointment and get you in as soon as possible. Go to finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
You mean 24 hours a day I can make my appointment online and pay for it?
Yep, right on their website.
Wow, and it's discounted?
Yeah.
All right, that's what Florida man needs to do.
No lines, no waiting. Visit FENNChiro.com to book your next appointment with a discount. FENNCHIRO.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. It's Fenn Chiropractic, where the chiropractors love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hold my beer. I'm going to Finn Chiropractic.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? You need to call QC Kinetics today. Hey, everybody, it's Greg Tish. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Don't let that pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can give you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play and live without danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Their number 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
Hour, we're really busy. We have the Link Jarrett interview. Well, hey, what you want to start with him? I'm up for it. I think the folks out there would be excited to hear from him, and I think they'll enjoy it. A couple minutes with him, and then we'll comment on that. And then we have Cam Davis as well, as you correctly noted. So let's start there. Newcomers continue to step to the mic. We learn a little bit more about their stories. And that helps obviously inform you in the way that you view these guys when you begin to see them in the practice reports and the videos that are released in spring football and on into the fall. So we'll start with that. We'll start with Lolo Hea.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. This guy is a legendary coach in Hawaii, Coach Levi. He wanted to give back to the community by going back home and bring some of the guys that want to chase their American dream. So he brought 9 of us to Hawaii for high school and football. And then after 3 years, the high school got shut down, and then we all go our own ways. And then he found his high school in San Bernardino and brought me there for my senior year. And then I went to Oregon State after that. There's no football back home. Where I'm from, we grew up playing rugby. Football wasn't around me until I get here to the state. I think I was 16 years old when I started learning about what football was. But yeah, football wasn't around me when I was little. So the transition was hard but easy because I grew up playing rugby. So the physicality of the game is easy for me to transition. But other than learning the playbooks, the rules for rugby, putting the helmet, shoulder pads on, that was the toughest part for me. But as I get used to it, now I love football.
So how many of those 9 guys, do you know how many of them made it or to college football or stuck with football?
I'm the only one left. Really? Yeah. I love all the guys, but it was hard. We all left home when we was 16 years old, left the whole family still back in the island. But everybody has to do their own sacrifice to get where we at. But thank God I'm still here. My parents never left the island. They never see me. They never see me play the game, and they don't understand what football was. But it's been tough. But I train myself to don't think about it too much. But yeah, now that I'm used to moving around. I left home when I was 16 and left my parents back 1,000 miles behind. Now I'm getting to a point that I'm just used to it already. So, yeah.
It may end up being the easiest guy in the world to root for, right? I mean, who doesn't hear that story and think immediately, oh, my goodness, you talk about sacrifice. We always bring up sacrifice as it pertains to student athletes. We talk about the things they give up in order to play, in order to try to earn a scholarship and, to go away to school and ultimately chase a dream and maybe someday end up in the NFL. But you got a kid who leaves his parents behind, 16 years old. He's one of 9 guys that go away to play football. Hawaii school closes down. shuts down. Now, can you imagine? School shuts down that you went to while you're pursuing this. Again, you're away from your parents. You still want to pursue it. You end up in San Bernardino, which is even further away, and you're still on your own. You've been on your own since 16. You're there for a year. You end up at Oregon State, and now you're in Tallahassee, Florida. Your parents have never seen you play. They've never seen you play. And you're, again, pursuing the ultimate dream. Who doesn't want to see that guy have an incredible season, get paid, and be able to alter his family's, generationally, his family's future? It's unreal to think about. And you could see as he answers those questions, the real humanity in that, right? As he's thinking about it, as he's asked about the other, so he's one of 9 guys, the other 8, as he says he still loves, they're no longer playing. And you can see him contemplating what that means. And you can see what it meant to him to talk about the folks that are thousands of miles away. It's uplifting. I think it's motivational as all hell. Let's hope that obviously very soon they'll be able to get his parents to a game. Agreed. It would be amazing. Let's also hope that he remains healthy, works hard, and if we're going to remove all the heartwarming stuff and just talk about what we've seen from him so far as a football player, he's good. He's legit. That was a good get. Story aside, that was a good get for Florida State.
Well, and he said a couple of things in terms of what he came here to do. It was development. That's what drove him to Florida State, which the reputation is changing here. What John Papuchis was able to do to harness and advance the abilities of Jermaine Johnson and Jared Verse, what's happening with Patrick Payton right now in terms of development, the reputation is building. Sione said that, number one, he wants to be a pass rusher, much more so than he has been. He's good against the run, but he needs to work on the pass rush. The number 2, it came down to USC and Florida State, and it was twofold. Academically speaking, Florida State was able to accept more of his credits than USC was, so he could be farther along in terms of his journey towards a degree. But then he said once he came here and he saw the presentation on development, he knew that development at Florida State at defensive end was far more advanced than that of USC. So that's the reason he came here. My wonder is, at the end of this, if his parents can make it to a game, and come on, we can make this work. Let's go. Whoever needs to do it, you can do it. I just wonder if Ireland is the easier flight or if Tallahassee is the easier. I feel like Ireland in August may be the easier trip to make.
It's certainly the better weather.
I don't know about from their perspective.
I don't know if they feel like that. I feel like that. Well, then fine. Get him here for the BC game. It'll be 100. Come on, let's go. And it kind of stinks that if you were able to do it, they're going to come and see a stadium that's been destroyed. They won't get a sense of what this place is like. They're going to walk in and go, so you chose this dump to come and play? I mean, yeah, it's brutal. But listen, I would also say this. He's seen USC. He's got a head on his shoulders. It probably didn't take talking to our coaches to deduce. I mean, there's evidence all around you that they don't defend anybody at Southern Cal.
That is correct. That reputation should precede itself as well about what USC does not do on defense. And he's played in that conference. He should know by looking at the box scores every week if he bothered to check what they gave up 50 again, huh? Okay. I think I might want to go somewhere else. Maybe I'll go to Florida State where they damn near shut people out towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. My hope is that for the parents' trip, because I'm going to assume it's going to happen. Should they want to? If they're health-wise able to, whatever it is, it's going to happen. Just for all of us and all of our constitutions, let's do it before senior night, because there would not be a dry eye in the house if that was the case, if they made it for that particular ceremony. Remember Brian Angola, a.k.a. Angola Road Ass, who had his mom surprise him. Nobody knew that was coming, and she had arrived from Columbia, and Leonard Hamilton barely kept it together on the court.
Oh, it was amazing.
This is now already more eyes are on this situation. Let's hope that young man has a big smile on his face for a lot of reasons this season, but one of which is parents get to see this weird sport that they know nothing about called American football.
Cam Davis next on deck here in the JCS. Now, you can go back and look at all the interviews, including Marvin Jones Jr. and others, but I wanted to get you Cam Davis since last week. We talked about Cam, and I mean, he looks like Herschel Walker. Like he's that kind of built already. And I was obviously fawning over Cam Davis last week and talking about people don't look like that at that age and how much I think he can help this team. Let's hear from Cam Davis.
What's more fun? Is it more fun running somebody over? Is it more fun juking somebody, running by them?
To be honest, it's more fun just getting the end zone. But I would probably say juking someone on the field. I laugh a lot when I run, so just being able to laugh while I'm running and then juking somebody, like laughing at them mid-play, I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, you see, that's more fun for him, but it's much more fun, Cam, for the rest of us to watch you run over people. But scoring touchdowns, however you do it, whether that's running around them or over them, is really ultimately the goal, and that is fine. And also, can I say that, again, I don't know, I'm not trying to start a conspiracy, but again, in addition to looking like a grown-ass man who's been lifting weights for 25 years, despite being 18, he also has the voice of like Barry White. So what is going on here? Are we sure he's not 32 years old, married with kids, and just took a detour from like being a mechanic to deciding he wanted to play in the NFL? And he's got eligibility left. What's going on there? It's crazy.
Yeah. Is he the Danny Almonte of college football? Is that what you're getting at here? Yeah.
You can be 40 and play college football. Chris Winkie did, but I mean, good Lord.
So his interview is excellent. I pulled that clip specifically because I just think it's hilarious, and no, analogy or pun intended, that he laughs as he plays the game. It's like Gronk. You see that when Gronk is mic'd up on Sundays in the NFL and you hear him laughing as he's getting hit. And sometimes he'd get trucked and he's just laughing at the defender, the linebacker who's 240 and jacked who hits him. He loves the game. I think that's awesome here. Again, the full interview is available and you should watch the whole thing. It's great. But that Cam Davis jukes people and laughs in their face as he's making them miss and fall to the ground. And I'm sure he laughs at them too if he lowers his shoulder and runs them over. That is exactly the mentality that you want out of a player like that position, running back.
Leonard Fournette laughs uncontrollably when he runs, and his best years, obviously they're in Tampa, not in Jacksonville, but Tampa. And you can find clips of him getting hit in the hole by a 250-pound linebacker, and the two meet and it's even, and they both fall to the ground, and it's the loudest pop heard in the stadium that day. And as he's getting up, he's like, I'm like, well, that's a little crazy. I don't know that I want to keep hitting a guy who's going he every time I hit him at mock speed and 250 pounds and my shoulders dislocated. That's ridiculous. I love the idea of it, and I'm glad we got a guy that will be doing that. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Floridians experiencing homelessness could soon face arrest for sleeping in public places. A bill in the Florida legislature would ban people from camping out on public property. The legislation has prompted backlash from some Tallahassee elected officials who say it would do more harm than good. The legislation would require city and county governments to enforce the ban and would allow people or businesses to sue local governments that fail to enforce the ban. A purple alert has been issued for a man missing out of Monticello. 49-year-old Joseph Richards was last seen in the area of the 900 block of Boston Highway in Monticello, wearing a blue and black parka coat and carrying a black backpack. He's 5'11" and weighs 225 pounds. He has brown hair and brown eyes. He also has a tattoo on the ring finger of his left hand that reads "Joseph loves Cindy." Anyone with information regarding Richard's whereabouts should contact FDLE or Jefferson County Sheriff's Office at 850-997-2523 or 911. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 66. Winds out of the northeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 39 tonight. Tomorrow, highs level off around 68. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Friday and Saturday, and highs from the low 70s to the mid 70s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 62 degrees.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Fasig, And I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices.
When you're in an accident, traffic cameras can be the best source of evidence to prove who's at fault.
That's why Basic Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to have access to all their traffic camera footage.
With RoadProof, we can search our network of traffic cameras to find the evidence that could help you win your case.
Call us today to see if we can help find the proof to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
Side of things, we have a picture up of the renovations going on at Doak, a live shot of basically goal line to goal line, gutted. Can still do the stadium steps if you want, can still run stadium steps over there if you'd like. Now, you put your life in peril, but you can do it. Maybe it adds to the exhilaration of the sprint up those steps. But yeah, just don't get a little too tuckered out and waver to the right or left, because that is the death of you and only add to the chagrin regarding the amount of changes at Doak Campbell Stadium. Well, we also had students fall off. Yeah, well, that was a tough time for all of us. But here we are. I'm looking at it, and I don't know why. I'm strangely fascinated with this. You know, they say that, you have gawkers with every car crash. We've been on the wrong side of that while you're trying to traverse across the state, and you realize that it was like a minor fender bender, that everybody slowed down to 5 miles per hour to view, and you were furious. And it leads me to say irrational things like, there better be 105 dead people up here when we get up here. It's been 2.5 hours. Well, I can't stop staring at this. There's a live cam. You can just look at it. You're like, look at this. I'm strangely fascinated by it. Look at the innards of the stadium. There, see, it's transforming. We've got another shot over here from the end zone. Makes for great radio as everybody here is driving around going, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. It's just cool to look at, though. Go do yourself a favor when you get home.
So it looks as though it's missing teeth, if you think about it that way. The alumni sideline, it looks like it's missing teeth as the shot. You've got it, one set of stands at the 30-yard line towards the Lang Memorial Champions Club, and then another set of stands around the 20 to 25-yard line where the students are. And that's it. Everything else is gone and gutted.
Florida man in Texas, I see you besmirching me by saying there's no way JC runs the stadium stairs anymore. Let me tell you what, I don't run those particular stadium stairs over there. I mean, it's clearly it's a great distance from my home. I don't live over by the students anymore. Don't have to. But I will tell you this. but I will tell you this. Every year, the first game of the year, first home game of the year at Doak, I do the bottom floor all the way to the 9th to see if I can do it. And I still can do it. Now, it hurts more now than it did 26 years ago, 27 years ago. It's brutal. I don't recover for days on end. But but I am still capable of running. I say running. I'm running the first 2 floors, then it's just a steady jog. it's a steady jog. It's kind of like a walk, only I'm moving my arms.
Yeah. You see that in your local neighborhood, on a random Thursday or Friday morning, where the person you're like they're not running. It makes their heart rate go a little faster, but they're not really running per se.
So by the way, do you do this? Because I do this. It's an exercise as we continue to look at the newcomers and hear from the newcomers from Florida State. But you go and you see what you've gained and what you've lost, right? And so when you go through that exercise and you say to yourself, all right, Marvin Jones Jr., former 5-star recruit, he was the, he's a huge pickup for Florida State if he ends up being if he lives up to what he's physically capable of and what we thought he might be coming out of high school, right? Jalen Brown, Sean Murphy, who's the number 5 transfer linebacker, 4-star recruit. We took him from Alabama. Roydell Williams, obviously leaving the Crimson Tide as well as a top 10 transfer running back. Malik Benson, who at one time was the number 1 JUCO player in America, the number 19th ranked transfer wide receiver, stole his ass from Alabama. DJ Uiagalelei, former Clemson and Oregon State quarterback, number 14th in the transfer portal overall, and was at one time considered to be a 5-star stud. Earl Little Jr., who I love, transferred him from Alabama. Terrence Ferguson, offensive lineman from Alabama. Durajaye, we just got done talking about, defensive line from West Virginia. Lolahea, who we just heard from. Jalen Lucas, who is a burner from Indiana, could change your special teams for good. Devontae Brown, cornerback from Miami, who transferred in. A lot of speed there. Grady Kelly, defensive tackle, who basically you're hoping is a rotational fit for you along the defensive line. Richie Leonard, the offensive lineman from Florida, who will be a kid, I think, that plays for us. Jacoby Rizzi, the 3-star offensive tackle. He's a gigantic kid, happens to play from Harvard. So he'll be smart. I don't know if he's any good. We'll have to wait and see. And then you kind of juxtapose all of that, and you're like, all right, well, who did we lose? Tate Rodemaker, got it. So Marquiston Douglas at tight end, who unfortunately had a tougher year than I thought he was going to have. Bless Harris. That one hurts. Goldie Lawrence, Gilder Edmond, Gilbert, I don't really care about losing. AJ Duffy, again, we knew the writing was on the wall there. Would have liked to have seen Tom's hero, Rodney Hill, stick around, but he didn't, and now that's where he is. He's, is he a fan? I wish him well. That was a blunder by he and his parents, in my opinion. So there you go. There's that situation. And keep on going down the list of these guys. Malcolm Ray, who I think will be replaced, would have liked to have seen him stick around till Tafasi's a talent. He's now at Georgia Tech. Ray went to Rutgers. Daughtry Richardson ended up at FAU. You see a trend here? Do you see a trend here as you go through the guys that are now gone, where they ended up, caliber of those programs, and the guys that were brought in, not always one for one, but it kind of tells you the floor of talent has been raised considerably.
Yeah, and it makes for really fascinating position battles. I mean, spring is going to start a little bit later this year because the game itself is on the 20th. So, if they're going to stagger these practices, it's probably going to be a week or two later on the calendar to get it going. But I can't wait for it. I cannot wait to see what's going on here with some of the position battles with, call it redshirt freshmen or redshirt sophomores against transfers that are battling for jobs either in the trenches or at some of the skill positions. You have a lot of starting reps and top flight rotational reps up for grabs. We saw Mike Norvell do this a lot, especially on defense. A ton of rotation in that front six. Those guys, the defensive linemen, the 2 linebackers, they rotate a bunch. And this time last year, you knew who many of your starters were going to be. Of the 22, I don't know. I'm ballparking it, blind guess. 14, 15 of them probably were known at that point. Now you'd be lucky to get to maybe a 10, 11. Yeah. There is a lot of jobs open for grabs here. And again, those rotations, the offensive line, they proved it. They wanted to rotate 7 and 8 deep last year. Defensive front rotated a bunch, even safety. You saw a guy like Conrad Hussey get in a bunch last year as a true freshman. So all over the field, there are a lot of jobs and a lot of reps to be had in a given game. but the battle is wide open. And that's what makes it fun is you're mixing in kids from Georgia, a bunch from Alabama and LSU and some other places, along with, you're finally growing in some places like Earl Little battling for a safety job or a slot corner job, whatever it's going to be. Yeah, he's got more talent, but there are some pretty young, unproven, talented players that caught our eyes last year when they were true freshmen on campus. So this is going to be a lot of fun to sort out.
Ultimately, you want to get to a place where you don't need this many transfers. In my opinion, you want to get to a place where the core of what you are kids you recruited out of high school. But if you have to do it this way, they do it really well, and they continue to do it really well. They continue to bring in guys that are players that were highly thought of coming out of high school, many of whom were recruited by Florida State and or Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, the southeastern region teams that we compete against. It's so weird. College football will never go completely this way, but I always talk about, I don't get too excited about Major League Baseball's draft for my team. Like if you're a Braves fan, you watch who you draft. Pirates fan, I watch who we draft. Now I am excited for Skeens. We'll see what he becomes. But the bottom line is the statistic that stands out over the years is that most teams that end up winning, almost all teams that end up winning, say, a division or go on to win the World Series, over 60% of their roster is made up of players that were drafted by other teams. This is how it works in baseball. Are we getting to a place in college football where it's like you're going to have half your starters be guys that were taken that you lost out on in the recruiting and they went somewhere else and then they come back to you? I mean, if you're good at it, maybe. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Link Jarrett will join us in that hour. Stay tuned.
I'm Greg Tisch, and I want to share how it all began at Tallahassee Community College. During a quiet moment on a fishing trip in 1963, FSU President Gordon Blackwell looked to Lewis Hill, who was a member of the Leon County Board of Public Instruction, and said, "Lou, why don't you get a junior college?" When Lou told Gordon he felt the college would compete with FSU, Gordon responded, "Nah, you ought to have one." We don't know if they caught any fish that day, but they did catch a big idea.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You got one of those new cars that keeps you in the lane when you're driving or slams on the brakes if you get too close to another car?
No, I don't like that fancy technology stuff.
A lot of people don't. It's called lane departure warning and forward collision alert. And all that fancy stuff is attached to your windshield. So if it gets damaged, you need a qualified company like Seminole Auto Glass to replace and recalibrate your windshield. But don't call your insurance company. Just go to SeminoleAutoGlass.com and upload your insurance card. Hey, Jimmy.
What?
Did you know that Teslas come with a unique new car smell? They call it Elon Musk. Better call Seminole.
From the front lines of the fight against socialism, it's America in View.
That America's
Services, conferences to call away. 222-7722. AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722. Parker Services, conferences to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits, including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. And Parker's is now offering electrical services too.
Parker Services, conferences to call away.
Florida license number CMC 0.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going up to drop water on the fires.
Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Florida State as a 4-point underdog beat Boston College by 163-62 yesterday at the Conte Forum. Georgia 7-point road dog today at Mississippi State of the SEC, 146.5 the total. NHL today, the Tampa Bay Lightning, winners of 3 straight and 8 of 10, $1.14 dog of the New York Rangers, minus 135, 6.5 under at Madison Square Garden. 49ers laying 2 against the Chiefs, 47.5 the total at Allegiant Stadium. Will the opening kickoff be a touchback? Yes, minus 310. No, plus 245. No is 18-4 in the last 22 Super Bowl. 4 free chicken breasts and 4 free pork chops with your order right now at omahasteaks.com/VSIN. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
If you've been waiting and waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely.
out. Also, check the website, warchant.com, if you're wanting to hear all of the latest. That includes Jalen Lucas, the transfer from Indiana, who can really fly. Special teams guy, running back, Marvin Jones Jr., who, I'm excited to have in town. We talked about Lolahea and what a cool story that is. If you hadn't heard that, you'll want to hear him talk to it. Cam Davis, that's a man-child making his way to Tallahassee, and excited to hear from him as well. So any of those guys, and of course all the others that have preceded those interviews that we've obtained so far since the offseason began and people arrived, just go to warchant.com. You'll see all their stuff on Warchant TV as well. Of course, I mentioned Florida State's victory over Boston College. You're better off if you didn't watch it. Just know that they won. That's what really matters. I was excited about that. They won the game, which means I'll tell you what the number one thing is there, Tom. We didn't talk about this last hour, and we won't belabor the point because people right now are disinterested in basketball and, frankly, for pretty decent reasons. But when they gave up over 100 points to Louisville, I thought there was a very good chance we were about to watch them quit. And I was very concerned about that because you can't – that is a bottom dweller. They gave up on average more than 30 points or above Louisville's average. They gave up 30-plus points more than they score night to night. That's crazy. That speaks to maybe on the surface in the eyes of some a sorry effort. And so you wondered – when you lose to a team that's ranked below Lipscomb, you're out of the NCAA tournament. And they had been playing really well, I'm sure with the idea that they were going to try to keep it together and maybe make an outside chance of a run at said tournament. Well, that's off the table when you lose to Louisville. And when things start getting pulled as opportunity, right, disinterest as a way of seeping in. We've seen this in football where if your goal was to make the college football playoff and you don't, what can happen? We've seen before when your goal, and I'm going back years, was to maybe win the conference. And then when that's mathematically off the table, you don't have the kind of year you were hoping for. You see guys occasionally go through the motions. Shouldn't happen, but it does. Well, I really thought we might not see a very good effort, but they did play hard on defense last night. And they did from the jump. They got out to a great start. They were forcing turnovers, and they were able to get out to a big lead. Held on for dear life, and it was an ugly game, and they won it. They don't shoot the three well, so it's not surprising to see them have a terrible percentage from beyond the arc. They don't shoot well, period. But they won the game, and so maybe there's an outside chance at the NIT. I just because here's what I'm saying bluntly. If they had revealed it to all of us that they were quitting, Ham would need to be fired at the end of the year.
Well, they didn't.
Had that happen.
They didn't. And 2 years ago, they did in this same spot. Similar spot, same building. They lost 71-55 to Boston College. That was one of those nights that looked a lot like several others. North Carolina road trip from a couple of years back is another one of those examples. They didn't do that last night. Now, it was always within a couple of possessions, but this game could not have been more different than the Louisville game, not just when you're talking about the game total, but the Louisville game was Whistlefest 2024.
It was hideous, yeah.
And this one, that where they shoot like 12, 15 free throws combined between the two teams. I think the refs wanted to get out of Dodge. They're like, whatever, you can, this is old school right here. You can elbow, you can do whatever the hell you want contact-wise, and we're going to let you guys play. So these were two completely opposite games. But then if you're just looking for a marker, the last couple of seasons, they did pack it in. And they did in a building like that, uninspired as Boston College's gym is. Like, even when we were really good, that was a recipe.
Yeah.
It's like going to Georgia Tech. Like those two places, just for whatever reason, they don't inspire anything out of you on the court. And in this spot, they do finish the job. They're up 5 late, and then you got to survive and sweat some bullets with under 20 seconds to go. But they do it. They get the job done, and now see if you can get a win to get the spirits back up. But it feels like we're all staggered for good reasons, and we'll see what happens coming out of the stretch. But the Louisville loss still stings. This at least stops the bleeding. It doesn't replace it, doesn't make you feel better, but it stops the bleeding.
Yeah, it just means they didn't quit, and I was really worried that if they had, I'd have to come on here and say, that's it, that's all. You're right, by the way. Nobody shot free throws last night. It was something to behold, but at least it wasn't disjointed. There were 57 fouls called in the Louisville game that you were talking about, that debacle. Just 23 called, I guess, last night. Is that right?
Sounds right. I mean, a lot of them, obviously, they didn't get to the line very often either way. So Yeah, it was pretty even in both halves. I think the first half, it was like a half dozen free throws between the two teams. It was something ridiculous. But, in the grand scheme of we're going to be here for 3 hours, give up 100 points, and, a kid who goes off 1 out of every 5 games is going to have the night of his life versus last night, which is a slop fest but a victory, and you get out of Dodge in some reasonable fashion. You take last night all the way.
Here's the only thing I'll add to it before moving forward. That is the upcoming schedule coupled with what did last night's win do, if anything, for us. It didn't do anything to improve the net rankings. They entered the game 94th. They're still 94th. BC dropped from 90th to 93 by losing to us. Wake Forest blew out Georgia Tech, ranked 123rd heading into last night's game by 29 points, shot up 10 spots in the net ranking for comparison from 42nd to 32nd. The net doesn't reward teams for necessarily blowing out their opponents, regardless of how bad they are, as it supposedly is a reflection of a team's offensive and defensive efficiency. The net rewards a team for winning a close game if it's against a quality opponent. So see Clemson last night jumping from 37 to 31 with a 4-point road win against North Carolina, which was a good game. I don't know if you watched it. When you rack up close wins against bad opponents, it doesn't help you. That's a long-winded way of me saying that. The schedule coming up, however, does provide opportunities. I suppose you could be a spoiler. You have, Tom, if you will, with me. Here comes Virginia.
Yeah. I don't know how that works with the delay. Does it work?
It didn't work at all.
Okay.
I was left out in the lurch. I don't think you were ready. That is Saturday night at the TLC Double C. The Cavs have rattled off 7 straight wins, so that doesn't bode well for us. They're 18-5, 9-3 in the ACC. The net of 34 after a 60-38 win over Miami. My God, 38 points in a basketball game. Miami, stop it. I know that's what Virginia does, but it's a damn shame. Somebody should ban Virginia from playing college basketball. It's criminal. It is criminal to watch this team. Hate it. FSU travels to Virginia Tech after that. They have a net of 54. So you see where I'm going here. You have a chance against a 34 and a 54, followed by a home game against Duke, which is 21st. Next 3 games will tell you whether you have any shot at all of seeing the NIT. That, or it's the beep beep.
I think if you handle your 2 Virginia games, if you can get the 2 dubs against Virginia and the Hokies, then you host Duke right after that. You might get the juices back just a little bit, but there's no gray area here. Like legitimately, you got to beat both Virginia teams in order to feel like, all right, there's a little Uncle Mo back on our side here. We're squarely in the ding-ding. Maybe could we make some noise with a win over a top 10 Duke team at home? You can't go 1-1 in this stretch. So it does start Saturday night. That crowd, if they show up, they're going to be very enthusiastic, I would think, on Saturday. Students especially.
Yeah, you kind of got to win like the next 3 games. You kind of got to win the next 3
But if you win the next 2, that Duke game does have some stakes to it. It's got a little juice to it. If you split these next 2 or, heaven forbid you lose both, that game is just like, well, could they do something cool for a night? But it would be more than something cool for a night if you're on a 3-game win streak hosting Duke.
Noel Dad asked in the chat, is the beep beep at least vaping now? No more Winstons. Yeah, I don't think that the beep beep strikes me as a person or a thing that would ever switch to vaping. He's not into style points. He's not doing what the kids are doing today. He's still stuck on the old Winstons, maybe even the Cools. Like he's going menthol. He's old school. He's going menthol. How you doing? Good to see you again. It's the beep beep. I'm right here waiting on you. Yeah, the beep beep is waiting on us. He is very close to like coming around the bend. He knows his time is nearly arrived. He's like, a nice win last night there. You got that one. I'll see you guys soon enough. You got Virginia coming to town.
There's a lot of that up here. I don't want to call it like a beer and cigarettes town like a Jacksonville or a Tampa. Like they're used more as utility to keep people warm up here. But there's a.
Hey Tommy, you got the heater? I'm freezing.
That's the heat. That's why they're the heater. That's why they're heaters, man. Yeah, you got. Hi, Tommy. How you doing? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, better than you, man. Better than you.
Better than you. Better than you, yeah. Freezing their ass. My granddad was a 2-pack a day guy, and he's dead. It's not surprising, and has been for a long time. He was awesome. But and funny. But there's pictures of him when he's so young. It's crazy. It's like those black and white photos of folks that are 15 years old just standing out in a field smoking. You're like, good God, life was tough. He'd probably been up since 4 digging somewhere. It seems like everybody back then was just digging. I got to get up tomorrow and do some digging. Me too. The 2 kids talking with that voice were 10. They were 10 years old. They were about to do some digging for something. Who knows? Probably until they hit rock. We'll get out early here on this segment because earlier today I had the good fortune to catch up with Link Jarrett. Obviously, that was a tough first year. That's a tough first year. And when you've won everywhere you've ever been, when you've been the coach of the year, when you've had all of these moments, and then you come back home to the place you love, where you grew up and where you dreamt of playing and eventually did, and where you had an All-American career and then hope to get back to someday, and then you come back and that happens. That was what a confluence of events that lead to a season a year ago that had us turning away in horror. So I wanted to ask him broadly, without getting too specific, although we do dabble in some names here, before we get to opening day, I wanted to talk to him a little bit about the offseason because it's been a crazy one. I will preface this by telling you, I think over half of the roster is now made up of new faces that you'd not heard of before, or if you've heard of them, you've heard of them in passing or seen very little of them. So we wanted to talk to him about that. Obviously, we're going to talk to him about the memorial service this Saturday for 11 over at Hauser. Fan Day is not too distant, February 18th. We got opening day coming up. So there's so much that's on our plate. We'll talk to Link again before that first game and get very specific about positions and rotation. But this was a broader conversation that I had with him earlier today. You'll hear it next on the Jeff Cameron Show.
Franklin, and I've been a Paul's Termite technician for well over 10 years. Working for a great company like Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a blessing for my family and myself. I get tremendous satisfaction knowing that the work I do helps protect most people's biggest investment, their homes, the place where they raise their families and build lifelong relationships. Paul's is a company that stands behind their commitments to customers and employees, and that makes me proud to represent them.
I'm Jay. Having the privilege to work with people like Franklin and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
People who suffer from arthritis are getting real pain relief with exciting biologic therapies at QC Kinetics.
The success rate is there, and there's no better way to treat yourself when it comes to dealing with pain.
Meet Tyler Vale, co-founder of QC Kinetics, who says they can't cure arthritis, but they can treat the pain.
If you think of the tide coming in and out on the beach and what it does, it erodes the sand, right? Can't stop the tide, but eventually when the sand or the beach gets bad enough, we backfill that beach with sand so that we get generations of enjoyment with that beach again. And the same thing happens with your knee or your shoulder or your hip or your back. We want to backfill the problems that have happened to this point. I'm not stopping the tide, so I'm not stopping the arthritis, but I want to get generations of enjoyment out of those joints again.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Learn more about how restorative biologic therapies can get you real and lasting joint pain relief.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Great opportunity right now to catch up with the head man himself, Link Jarrett, FSU Baseball, joins us on the Jeff Cameron Show. Kind enough to do that. We appreciate it. Link, first, I got to ask you right off the bat, first of all, thanks for joining us. Secondly, obviously, we've all had a chance to kind of reflect on what Mike Martin meant to so many people, this community, university, obviously you and others as players and coaches. And, I've enjoyed that process, as sad as it is to lose him. I've enjoyed hearing the reflections. This weekend, memorial service this Saturday. I guess if you'd like, anything you'd like to add? I know you've had some official comments on the record, but this is the first we've had a chance to sit down and talk with you since it happened.
Yeah, Jeff. 11, number one, he gave me a chance as a player, and I was not a fantastic player. There was no line of people waiting to recruit me. After my senior year was over, in the middle of the summer, he invited me onto the team, and he gave me a chance. And as you move through the years of, for me, the impact he had, and other players would tell you the same thing, he by nature brought out the best in us in more ways than just between the white lines. Like, he was a fantastic husband, and we saw that, an amazing father and grandfather. And as the years and decades moved along, and you appreciate the totality of 11 and how he carried himself, that stands out to me as much as anything that happened on that field. And I played a lot of innings for him and was very fortunate. Sometimes I wondered if that was in his best interest to actually have me out there all the time. He made me better as a player than I probably thought I could be. And if that's not the essence of coaching, I really don't know what is. But I also absorbed and modeled like how he did things as a human being. So there were two parts of that, and eventually they did mesh in his professional role. But it's the totality of how he carried himself and his feel, his presence, his integrity, the class with which he treated everybody that was involved in the program or touched the program. And he was the best. And you can take the wins and the number and the winningest coach ever is one thing, but how he did it and how you felt as he did it is what made him not only the best between the lines, but the best off the field too.
It's been fun, as I said, to reflect, to hear so many people such as yourself who were coached by him and affected by who he was as a man. I talked to a ton of ex-players. I've talked to obviously a lot of fans, and they share a very similar sentiment, Link, that, the wins are the wins. They're there to look at, and we can talk about it, and it's amazing. It's certainly a reflection of how effective a coach he was, but most people do what you just did, which is talk about the man himself and how he impacted you off the field. And that's been really kind of an enriching thing to be able to hear that over and over again from fans, players, coaches, administrators, all within seconds saying, yeah, but it was who he was as a man.
There's no doubt. I mean, it stands out. Like the moment you meet him, you know that he has it. And we talk about the it factor, and he had it in every walk of life. And I got to see him before he passed, and what Carol supported him through and how she handled it. Absolutely. She's an amazing lady. And I want Saturday's event to be the best we can possibly make it, the best day for her, the family, for 11. There's going to be hundreds of former players. When you start getting into the former assistant coaches, staffing, managers, people that were involved in the program, that's who's going to be out here behind home plate. Yeah. It's going to be incredible. And I think that'll summarize the look of this stadium. When you look behind home plate in the grandstand, I think you will feel the levity of what he was able to do in terms of how he made people feel like they belong to the program, aside from just the players. It was an amazing trait he had, and nobody did it better.
Not an easy transition, but we will talk some baseball here now, as I wanted certainly to give you the opportunity to talk about 11 there. Fan Day's coming up in not too distant future. In preparation for this, I had to refamiliarize myself with the roster. And in doing that, Link, good God, man, can you name all your players? If I'm not mistaken, now you tell me if I got these numbers wrong, because I didn't think this was legal, but I don't know what the rules are anymore. Do you have 45 plus players on this roster?
Well, you do. 40 is the number, and then you're going to have injured players that by rule don't count.
Okay.
And, you have a couple pitchers in high school that, unfortunately, in our sport, like the arm injury is real and it happens and they're out for the year. So we're really right where we need to be. Jeff, I'm just going to tell you, and you could talk to Coach Norvell, and you can talk to Leonard, and you can talk to Brooke. You talent acquisition warfare and how you land players in this day and age of college athletics is unlike anything any of us have ever seen. And I've been doing this 25 years. This summer, what we went through to try to onboard talent, it's just an unprecedented era of transition and movement in college athletics. And when you factor in our sport, there's no other sport on this campus. Hockey would be the only other thing that's even close to what we deal with the draft and the timing of the draft and how you navigate who actually is going to show up. There was a period of time late in the summer when we had mid-50s on our roster.
Wow.
And you have to, because all of a sudden Johnny signs and Timmy signs and Randy signs and Scott signs and this happens, and then there's a free agent and Doug Kirkland signs as a free agent, and all of a sudden the reality of what we deal with at the finish line is like, it's incredible. So to get to 44, not all 44 are healthy, but to get to the number, if you're not at 54, 55, you're fooling yourself. Like, you will be left completely bare. And in that summer period, if you're going to entertain transfers, that has to happen as soon as the season ends and that transfer portal opens. And if you're not on it, like, I think it opens, I can't even remember the dates, but it's, in some respects, the season is still going. The post, like, if you're not involved in those conversations to land some of these players, then you're going to be stuck. And you can ask Mike and the other coaches, like, what it's like to try to build that roster. It does give you an opportunity when you have transition to try to fill some of the gaps that you have. And hopefully that's what we did. Now, we filled it what extent did we feel it and the capabilities of some of these sophomores and some of these junior college players that are in here to step out onto this field? That's where the rubber will meet the road ultimately. But yeah, Jeff, I've never been through. We onboarded 26 players. I think pretty much a split, 9 Division I transfers, which is hard to do. 4 junior college transfers, lost a couple junior college transfers in the draft, lost some other transfers to the draft. And then you have your young group. So if you look at your Cam Smith and Jamie Arnold and Ben Barrett, names that you're going to remember from last year, you have to have those good young freshmen that are growing and maturing with the program. And we have that group this year. It's when those guys start to engage in the workload that really should be reflective of the rest of the roster. You shouldn't always have to thrust freshmen into the fire. So the older group, the transfers, your Cam Lighters, your Daniel Cantu, Noah Short, Marco Dinges, Carson Dorsey, you can just go on and on. That gives you some maturity. And then you also onboard your younger pups and you try to develop them and let them grow and learn and get stronger. That's really how you have to function in college athletics. And I think you'll see a better representation of that on our field this year. And clearly you see it on the roster.
Yeah, it's I love talking to coaches about this because, as you noted, it is an unprecedented time, and it can be overwhelming. I can only imagine, to try to be doing so many things at the same time, but you have no choice. This is the task at hand. It is talent acquisition, as you noted, and there were holes to be filled on this roster, as we both know. And so it's got to be incredibly frustrating. You think you have it done, and then, like you said, somebody decides to go pro or whatever it might be, and the next thing you know, you got to pivot and you got to look at another kid. Which means if you're going to have 50, you were looking at 100, you were looking at 70. I mean, it's ongoing all the time.
So we talked about it the other day. I think anybody would tell you this. If you're going after the group you need to go after, your ratio might be you're recruiting 4 to fill that one pitching spot that you're trying to fill. But if you're trying to fill 5 pitching spots, think about how many players you're trying to engage and recruit and visit and talk to land the 4 or 5 or 6 that you need. Now, this isn't something that you can do every year, but clearly last summer we were in a position where we had to do it. And quite frankly, you rewind the year before, there really wasn't, nobody was here to do it. So the fact that we were here gave us a head start on grabbing some of these players. And it is not easy. And as this was going on, I was trying to get Chuck the head coaching job at Navy and Rich the head coaching job at UCF, and they got it. So, thank goodness Micah, the most important factor in their exodus and Micah and Ty onboarding was the pitching coach. Like, these high profile arms want to talk about the pitching coach's developmental plan. What technology do you have? What is the facility like? What is your plan? What is your throwing program? What data do you look at? What video system do you use? So that was a critical piece. And Micah, he gets it. If there's anybody that understands the necessity to mesh the technology with the old school, the verbiage, the analytics, the data, the TrackMan, all of the nuances of this, he gets it. So having somebody that knows that, knew Tallahassee, knew our program, knew what was going on, having him get in here quickly was so important. And I talked to Rich this morning. Those guys got fantastic head coaching jobs, and it's not easy. There's people that interview and never have the opportunity to get those head coaching jobs. So those guys are in a great position now. Having Micah on board, Ty has recruited players from 39 states and knows the country. He's great. Played for me, knows my language. So we're in a good place. But when you go back to the talent acquisition, those arms, they want to talk to that pitching coach. And thank goodness we were able to get him in here quickly.
It's interesting, Link, going back a ways, certainly. I'm 52 years old, love baseball. We used to just say about a guy's breaking ball that it fell off the table or it was nasty or whatever it was. Now we talk about spin rate. We talk about 3,000 RP, all that stuff. Like, if you talk to a kid who pitches, nobody uses the same phrases. It's all the technical terms that you're referencing. Like they have to be able to sit down across from a pitching coach, and they have to have what to the layman like me, who's not in the game on a daily basis, but reads all about what the technological advances. It's a foreign language. It's amazing when they start talking pitching.
To tell you how far it's gone, Seth Maness was our graduate assistant last year. Seth Maness pitched in the big leagues for 6 years. Yep. He was one of the most consistent relievers in Major League Baseball in that span. He was talking to some guys that were in like front office Major League Baseball organizations and player development. He said, Link, as I talked to these guys, I felt like there were moments where I didn't understand pitching in the game. They were using language and terms that I was not comfortable with. And some of these guys had never actually pitched and did it in the big leagues. So that can tell you where this industry can go when you're analyzing 25 different metrics on every pitch that is thrown. And then you get into the kinesiology of the delivery and the body and how the body works and what's the body doing on a breaking ball. We've gone way beyond even the analytics of the ball in some of the nuances that they're grabbing. So it is fascinating. When we talk about this with our team, often we did create a pitching lab. Like it's a neat little space where we have the TrackMan in the cage, took a cage down, TrackMan there just dedicated for pitching. Really cool. TV, super slow motion camera. Because the kids have grown up in a training setting, and if you want to call it a laboratory setting, and they do all their preseason winter work in these settings, what they sometimes have to remember is at the end of the day, when you're right out on that mound on this field, there is no mid-pitch analytical adjustment. It's competition. So going from that setting into real world, what is the hitter doing? Can you get this guy out? Can you control the running game? Can you field your position? That still exists, but I think it's waning in terms of what they've grown up doing. So it's really a fascinating era we're in, in terms of the technology.
Because I've had the good fortune of talking to you in the past and some of your assistant coaches, I know that one of the things that you really value when you're recruiting a kid is where can he play championship defense for me, right?
Yeah.
Like when you and I've talked about this briefly, and you want, when you're recruiting guys, when your staff is recruiting guys, and you want them to come to you and say, this guy's a championship defender at second, left field, whatever it might be, right? I felt like, and you may disagree with me, when I watched last year's team, you had guys that had to play, in some cases, out of position because of their bat. You had to get them in the lineup, and they weren't necessarily comfortable where they were playing, but you had to get them in there. And other guys that, just maybe you thought long-term that might be their position, but they weren't championship-level defenders yet at that particular position. Bottom line is, to me, it looked like a team of guys that was kind of out of place to some degree. Not everybody. But do you share that? And do you think that as we look at this overview coming into this season, you've been able to remedy some of that?
You nailed it. Like, believe me. And I'm going to tell you right now, those dudes out there, as tough as that was last year, but hey, it tough on everybody. Some dudes out there laid it on the line, like with all they had. I mean, Colton Vincent, every inning. Nander coming back. Nander wasn't even on our team. Like we didn't really have a lot of middle infield depth. Cam Smith had never played third. He's laying it on the line. It wasn't always pretty. But those dudes laid it on the line. And Colton Vincent getting a chance to go out and play professional baseball was probably the neatest thing that happened as the dust settles with last year's draft. Really cool. Jeff, I think we've moved the needle on that. I always assess when you go around the diamond, not just one deep. How many functional left fielders do you have that can play really, like you're talking about, championship level outfield defense, center field, right field, third base, shortstop, second, middle infield depth? Do you have a first baseman that is fundamentally sound, adept, understands the nuances of that position, and how much depth do you have behind the plate? Clearly better. I think the physicality of the group, you look at Tibbs and Ferrer and Smith, and you kind of go down the line of some of these guys that you've seen play, Diamez Ross, Kamaka, the physicality of the group on the field, you'll notice it. Just the raw depth of having some options is also noticeable to me. Then you look at how well does that group function as a team, like a team unit. Concerns that I have are just pure defensive instincts. That has been something as a coach, whether it's the fact that in the time leading into being on this campus, like the travel ball circuit, they get to play a lot of games, but the practice repetition and the base running and the instincts of defense, I think our game overall has forced college coaches to spend more time on trying to teach the instincts of the game defensively, because we practice hard and the reps are game-like, and those are new to some of these players that may not have had summer and fall actual old school Legion ball practices and ground balls and reps and BP and base run. So I do have concerns still with our overall defensive instincts. I think if you were to showcase the talent defensively, the arm strength, the range, the running speed, the fielding ability, better. Those defensive instincts are still something that I do have concerns with. When you go to the pitching side, when you look at Jamie Arnold and Cam Leiter and Carson Dorsey and Connor Whitaker and Ben Barrett and some of these guys that profile as potential starting pitchers on that side of the ball, how comfortable are they lengthening out those starts? You know, can somebody give you 6, 7 innings consistently? That changes the whole dynamic of the week. Like when you have to start cranking that bullpen up in the 3rd and 4th inning, that's not how you want to do it. And we have some really nice variety in the bullpen, but at the end of the day, Cam Leiter and Jamie Arnold and Whitaker and Tejeda and Dorsey and some of these guys, you're not going to know all these names yet. If they can lengthen this out and do what you would hope your front line starting pitching guys can do, the pitching staff has a chance to be pretty cool to watch. We got Noah Short, a side armor from the University of West Virginia. We've got Armstrong and Oxford, and we have a junior college pitcher, left-handed pitcher. Holt's got a really good breaking ball, hard torquing breaking ball. You've got some good variety, and then you have your younger freshmen that are waiting in the wings and are developing. But Leiter, Arnold, Dorsey, Whitaker extending outings, Ben Barrett extending, not matching and bobbing and weaving, but take the ball and go. Like, let us get into this game. That's the key to the pitching staff, and I think it'll be clearly better.
Good news is we got a chance. We'll talk one more time before opening day, and I'll let you go through once guys have solidified their spots, and you can kind of tell me what you want to tell me about those guys that you've named as starters for that day or that weekend, and we can go through that. But I do have to ask you this before we sign off. And again, I just wanted to make sure we got a good overview here. So many new faces and new names. You mentioned one of them right out the gate. I get asked about this guy all the time, so I'll ask it to you. Cam Leiter throws 4 pitches for strikes from what I can tell, and a lot of people are very excited. I don't want you to put undue pressure on folks, but I guess pitching was a problem a year ago. We both admit that. You said that before the season, that you were a little nervous about pitching depth. So it's good to hear you talk this positively about options and depth and guys that you think the fans should be excited about.
Cam Leiter, it's intensity every pitch. Like, this guy is in it, on it, emotional, was in it last year a little bit as a freshman, but was a freshman. There aren't a ton of freshmen that step out and they're finished products and ready to go. If that's the case, guess what? They're not on a college campus. So, when they get there, there's something they're trying to hone in that craft. Jeff, this has been, we're talking 94 to 98, 90-mile-an-hour slider, over-the-top curveball, changeup is in play. The emotional intensity and handling things that are going to come up. It's not going to be flawless. We're not going to throw perfect games every time we walk out there. There's going to be things that happen. There are going to be things outside of your control. Umpire, defense, something unusual happens. Staying on the rails, like focus, management of emotion, what's going on. that's where he's going to take that final step and become like a dude. We talk about dudes, like we need dudes out there, a chance to be a front line, take the ball on a weekend, Friday or Saturday night, and get this program and team into that series with some energy and some intensity. I've seen it. Now repeating it every weekend, that's where we land. And Jamie Arnold, you're talking about it, and we had to do it last year, Jeff. Like as a freshman, we asked him to do some things that probably, it's a lot to be a Saturday starter as a freshman in what was the toughest schedule in the country. But he's more seasoned. He understands himself. We're trying to get these guys to be the best versions of themselves. I think he's closer to that. Can he lengthen these things out? Carson Dorsey, different lefty. Jamie Arnold's slot is a lower, kind of a whippier crossfire slot. Dorsey's a little bit more over the top, totally different fastball, but those are two good dynamic lefties. And then Armstrong and Oxford and Holtz, probably more in shorter, more explosive spurts. But yeah, those guys are going to be fun. Benny Barrett, Whitaker, you've seen them. We get it. It's just the development and maturity and older and experience. You're going to be better for that. And you'll see that out of those guys this year too.
Next time I'll talk to you about Saucer and Abraham and some of the others and all these guys. It's going to be fun. I'm glad we're talking baseball again, Link. I'm so ready for this, and I know you are too. I know as a coach, though, there's never enough time. So, you're probably thinking, yeah, it's great to be talking baseball, Jeff. Can you let me go do my job? So I'll let you go do that. I'll let you go do that right now, Link. And it's good catching up with you. I'll see you real soon, okay, buddy?
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
All right, take care. Link Jarrett, head baseball coach, Florida State University, here on the Jeff Cameron Show. Good to have him back. Good to talk some Florida State baseball. It's going to be a better team this year, certainly. What a wild time. We'll talk more baseball later on. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Florida faces a critical shortage of school psychologists to support children. Now, state lawmakers are working to address the need by considering a proposal to allow schools to bring in volunteer chaplains to fill the vacancies. The proposal would allow districts to set a policy for volunteer school chaplains to provide services. The only requirement to be a school chaplain would be to pass a background check. Schools would have to provide a list of approved chaplains, and parents would have to sign their child up. Supporters compared this proposal to chaplains in other areas like first responders and the military. A similar proposal passed a House committee last month. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is investigating the death of a 5-month-old infant in Donaldsonville. The infant was first found unresponsive Sunday morning after she was brought to the hospital and treatments were trying to save her. She was pronounced deceased. There is an active investigation into the death of the infant, and no information will be released until after the autopsy is complete. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. 65 this afternoon under sunny skies. Northeast winds 8. Partly cloudy tonight. Lows level off around 39. Tomorrow 68. Partly cloudy and dry Friday. Clouds on the increase by Saturday. Low 70s Friday. Mid 70s by Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 66.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the pan con lechon. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside
season, but much more optimistic, what it sounds like to me. He's got some concerns about what they'll be defensively, but sounds like he feels better about the pitching, feels better overall offensively as well. It feels like we got some guys who are going to play where they're supposed to play, which is nice. Knock on wood, because that was hard to stomach. A lot of things I can handle. I can handle being down in certain sports, so you know that you're not going to be great forever. But I was hard watching baseball be that bad and set a record for worst season for them. Can't feel any worse than he did, certainly. So when you talk about, it's funny that the process of trying to bring in players, and we talk about what it is for college football coaches every day, but it's obviously, it adheres to baseball and softball and soccer and everything else too. So it's a weird time. It's a weird time, but soon enough, they'll be out there. That'll be good. It'll be fun. Looking forward to it. Memorial service this Saturday at Hauser, and then Fan Day on the 18th, and the season's underway, and we're all watching baseball. That'll be good.
A couple of notes on the memorial service on Saturday. The gates open at 10:45 a.m. The only gate that opens, there's only one if you're going to attend, and that is the main one by where the box office is. The home plate gate, the left field gate will not open. And there is one request, which is that you are in your seats by 11:45 a.m. So gates open at 10:45. You got an hour to get into a seat if you're going to go pay respects to the legend, to 11. But then after that, just a few short days later, it's going to be Friday night at Hauser, and there's going to be a lot of those coming. I remember, a few years ago for COVID, there was a brief period of time where Florida State did play baseball that season before it all got shut down, about a month's worth of time. And I remember, I've mentioned this before, but sitting under the oaks, I snapped a photo that's still in the background of my phone, just in case, because it felt like the world was getting a little squirrely. I'm like, man, I just hope we can get back here. It's always so special to be around that ballpark, and I look forward to it next week for everybody that's able to go out there. It sounds like Link has got his arms around the situation a little bit more, a man with a plan, and has some solutions to execute a plan a little bit better than last year.
It would stink to have to bring in 4 to fill 1, but just to protect yourself, you kind of have to do it, and that's the landscape currently. I think everybody awaits certain changes in college athletics that still see the players benefit the way that we thought they should for years, but also make sense for the programs, the coaches, the players themselves, and obviously the sport, any sport in college athletics right now. Which who knows how soon we get to that? I do wonder. And you know what I did a moment ago, just to see if it would pop up, because I know how close we are to pitchers and catchers reporting in Major League Baseball. I wanted to see, because I have a certain site I go to, Tom, where I type in probables. And at that site where you type in probables, they'll tell you, once the season gets going, they'll tell you probables that are a week out. So you can find guys that are scheduled to start 10 days from now or something along those lines. And here, I was like, I'm going to type it in. But alas, I could not find a single probable. But luckily, I can find 74 Zaxby's in Tallahassee, Florida. So that is the important part of what we're getting in here just at the tail end. My apologies to the great Zaxby's and those Zaxby's platters.
Man,
which I may partake this weekend.
so the platters are perfect for tailgating no matter where you are, but the platter and Hauser seems to go, and the Oaks seems to go very nicely together. You know what? I think when I get back down there in March and April, I think I'm there for maybe 6 games I get to choose from.
Mm-hmm,
I might sneak in some Texas toast and into the game. So you have a little Texas toast to go along with a tall, cold one. That is a nice 1-2 punch right there.
Well, thankfully, you have so many options on your way to the stadium. So many Zaxby's. They're everywhere. It's going to be incredible. By the way, to answer the question before the tournament starts tomorrow, sprinkled some pizza money at plus 425 on Chasen Hadley to finish top 25, Luke List at plus 325 to finish top 20, and Tom Hoagie at plus 300 to finish top 20. And then I've got some other head-to-head bets, and then I've got lineups for my DraftKings. I'm not going to give those out because I'd like to beat you. Not you, Tom, but the people out there.
Sure, but my guess is Luke List or Chesson Hadley or Tom Hoagie.
You might be on there. There's some combinations, perhaps. There are others too, buddy. There are others too. But that's the way it works. So I wanted to get that in before it was all said and done. That's me saying goodbye. Good work out of you, Tom. Thank you, Link. Good job, Director. Thanks to all of you. Be well. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.